Guys, if you turn on your computer and there's a little bit of code that's miswritten, computer doesn't work, does it? Got a glitch in it. And there's a whole bunch of wires in your bag and you can't find the right one to plug into the right hole. The whole system doesn't work. I'm going to share with us that we have been miswired from the beginning. You are taught an employee mindset in first grade when you're told to sit there and you got 8 classes at this many time and don't move and don't pass things. I remember I called into the office one day. I've got twins, and my kid's second grade teacher, man, she used to turn the lights out all the time. These kids are just unruly. And I'm thinking, baby girl, my son's 8 years old. What do you want him to sit there for 40 minutes? Have you met why would they do that? Little boys don't like to do that. And by the way, we've been doing the same teaching since it was the 1800s. Maybe they do need to run around. Maybe he learns more by playing. Maybe math should be blocks. Stop trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. So what we seem to want to be doing is conditioning us. Go watch The Matrix and realize how much we need to condition people to sit in a cubicle and just do this for 8 hours and then go to lunch and then come back and then go to gym. And this is how we train our people. So I'm not surprised that that's how you're functioning. I got a little card here. You want to go to my store and get one? It says I grant my permission to go tell my first grade teacher to take a flight and hike. The system doesn't work. So you actually have to break out of what you've been conditioned to. If you were a great student in school, odds are you work for somebody else. Odds are you can tell me the rules. I don't want to hear the rules.
Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the Confidence Architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. Welcome to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. What an amazing weekend we had. Father's Day weekend just passed, and what better way to celebrate than with an amazing woman. I have an amazing guest. Let me tell you, when I met her in person in Florida, her heart is bigger than the state itself. Her smile radiates and just her desire to help people. She opened my eyes to so many things, and the one thing that I took away from Miss Forbes Riley was stop playing small, Daniel. So let's welcome to the show, Miss Forbes Riley. Woo! Good morning.
That's crazy. And here I am this morning. I am spinjiming first thing in the morning. I got to tell you.
Oh, man.
How are you,
well, Forbes, you know what? It's been a couple of months since I've seen you, actually almost half a year. But introduce yourself to the world. For those that don't know, Forbes Riley, tell us a little bit about yourself. I love my guests to introduce themselves. So let us know what's going on, who you are, and just let that energy flow through.
Hey, baby, you're looking at a woman on fire, a woman who has been through hell, figured it out. And by the way, if you're going through hell, my advice is just keep on going. And as I've sat here for the last couple of months and watched the world completely change, the interesting thing is if you've got a relationship with fear and death, this isn't so unusual. I raised a beautiful Black kid from South Central. I got him when he was 8 years old. His name was Dexter. Every weekend of my life with my relationship with my ex-husband, he was best man at my wedding. And about 6 months after my twins were born, he was murdered right outside of USC, shot down on the street by a kid who grew up 2 blocks from him, also Black. We made the front page of the LA Times. It didn't actually start riots, although I would have loved to have started a riot. And 3 years later, his killer is spending 52 years to life in jail. I'm watching the world fall apart. But I will tell you, Daniel, I had an inside seat. I sat in all Black communities for a long time, being the only white face, listening to their side and listening to what's going on. And I'm disheartened right now at this time in life by what I think is people missing the point. And the point is you can't change an old dog. I'm not going to change your views about anybody. You're not going to change mine. We're not going to change somebody out there who's had those views for years. But we could start with education. We could start with the fact that we don't teach our children what they need to know. And I learned a very valuable lesson in 5th grade. And I want to get on a pulpit and start sharing this because I grew up in a very white community. In 1970, I was 10 years old. It was Jewish and Italian. It was pizza, pasta, and matzah. And television was not integrated yet. And there was nobody. Anyway, I go to school one day and everybody who had brown eyes had to stay after school and do extra homework. Everyone who had green and blue eyes got to go home early. Well, I have hazel eyes, kind of like green, right?
Yeah.
I had to stay after school. I had to pick up all the garbage at school. I had the worst week of my life. And we started protesting. In fact, back then we even had election booths. We were very politically oriented. the end of the week, they called us all into an auditorium. And they said, "How are you feeling?" I'm like the cheering, like, "This is ridiculous. What's wrong with the school?" And my parents wouldn't stand up for us. But they said, "See, here's the interesting thing about this exercise. You guys can't change the color of your eyes." And you're like, "Yeah." Well, there's a whole community of people in this country who can't change the color of their skin and are put down just because of that. And I will tell you, like a ton of bricks, it became very obvious how hard and how horrible it felt to be judged for something you had no control over. Yeah. And two things happened that I thought were really odd. One, when blue contacts came out, like in my 20s, I couldn't wait to get blue contacts because somewhere in the little pea brain of my head, somebody kind of said, well, blue must be better. Blue eyes are on television. They sing about blue eyes, you know? So think about the messages that we send about what might be better. You know, black is evil and white is the good guy. Somebody just did this, you know, black male. It's an interesting thing about how we assign a color. It's got nothing to do with reality, but there seems to be a difference. But it also made me incredibly colorblind. In fact, in college, I put the first black and white acting groups together. My college just honored me about that 37 years later. And because I was taught a lesson that at my core, there was an amazing equality. I don't believe that we as schools teach our kids much of anything. Excuse me. Teachers are paid $20, $30, $40, $50,000. You can't live on that kind of money. And those are the people that are shaping the minds of our world. And we've done a real injustice with the quality of our schools and the messages that we send.
I agree with that.
So I don't really want to hear protesting. I don't want to hear you burning down people's buildings or beating up people and hurting other people. That's bizarre. These fundamental,
something came to mind when you said that, because we don't get a chance to choose. I didn't choose I was to be Mexican, right? To be dark brown. And when it gets summertime, I get even darker. And when you just said that, I think of Nadia. She's an amazing woman here in San Antonio that I met. And she shared her story last year at our women's conference, how growing up as an African-American, they caught her in the back of her house with a willow pad, like a steel willow pad, trying to wash away the black. And she didn't know any better. And when she shared that on stage, it just broke my heart because I'll never understand that. And it breaks my heart because so many people, I think right now, I think you're exactly right. If we stop seeing through our eyes of judgment and see through our eyes of compassion, we would understand.
Here's the problem. You can't.
Okay.
I do not believe, this is what hurts my heart with all the protests that are going on. You can't change somebody's fundamental beliefs. The options have always been out there. My parents were Jewish and they hated schwarzes. It was black people. Didn't have black people in our neighborhood. What did you hate, Mom? Everybody hates Jews. Why did you hate? What is wrong with you? But that came from a culture. It doesn't matter. It was not even based in reality. So I'm going to spend my energy and time, by the way, they're passed away, trying to change people. I don't know that you can. So all the energy.
You know what? I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that because you can change the heart. And when you change the heart,
you know what? You can affect the heart. You can move the heart. You can inspire the heart. But anyway, so who am I in all of this? I'm a little dark.
Forbes Riley, come on, baby.
Well, you know, it's funny because my ethnicity is completely confused. And I gave birth to two babies. My ex-husband was very white, blonde hair, big guy. And I was with my daughter one day in an elevator. She was little. And a woman looked at me, a Hispanic woman looked at me and said, "Is that your daughter?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "But she's white." And she walked out. I'm like, "I'm sorry. What does that mean? Why did you even say that?" And I told my daughter still gives me stuff about it. She's like, "You sure you're mine?" I'm like, "I watched you come out. You're somehow mine." So I'm a woman who grew up in a small town in Long Island, New York, talking like this. So by the way, you can change your persona. You can change anything you want about yourself if you know how. And I wanted to, somehow when I was 8 years old, Daniel, my nose got broken in a baseball accident and it kind of grew off really funny, kind of a big weird nose. And I had braces for 8 years and I had frizzy hair and I was overweight and I got bullied a lot. I was very, very shy. And here's the thing I've come to understand. I was very, very smart. So smart that I didn't have friends. How many fifth graders get invited to their first grade teacher's wedding? I used to hang out with the Principal Kilroy, and do linguistics in second grade. All of that smartness. I mean, I graduated school a year early, graduated college with 2 degrees in 3 years. 2.
Wow.
So what it means is you have zero social life. No, I'm not kidding. You want to get through college fast? No sex. But I had no real life. I had no real friends. And I know that now. I knew it bothered me then, but I spent a lot of my time watching TV and movies, like a lot. I can tell you every character from F Troop to I Dream of Jeannie to the Partridge Family to the Monkeys. You go down the line. Those were my friends. I spent a lot of time dreaming, and it was a really odd childhood. And I just wanted to be pretty. Isn't that funny? That's all I wanted.
Yes.
And so my dad, when I was about 14 years old, had a horrible accident. He cut off the entire front of his hand in an industrial machine accident and spent 3 years in the hospital. So as odd and weird and lonely as I already am, every night was spent at the hospital. And then in my senior year, my mom said, we have no money for college. We love that you're graduating top of your class, but we have no scholarships and we have no money.
Yes.
But she said to me, and isn't this funny how life unfolds sometimes? But there's this pageant. I'm like, Mom. She said, no, don't worry. It's not a beauty pageant. Thank you.
You're like, thanks, Mom.
But it was the Miss Teenage America pageant on TV with Bob Hope. And you had to first win Miss Teenage New York. And it was a written test, a talent, and a personality. And I remember walking into this big room with my dad. He had this big bandage on one hand, and there were about 350 girls in the room. And one of them was going to get to go on to this event. And I remember saying to myself, I could do this. One of these girls is going to Oklahoma with Bob Hope. I could do this. Well, now, the funny thing is, right before that happened, my dad's doctor felt so bad for me and for my family that he actually fixed my nose. He re-broke my nose. The braces came off after 8 years, from the age of 8. Imagine your daughter, braces her whole life. And all of a sudden, I got this smile. I was like, I got a smile. And I will tell you what, I ended up winning. I became Miss Teenage New York, and I went to Oklahoma. Now, here's the crazy thing. Best week of my life, right? Then the worst week of my life. Because we lived in a little bubble. You probably lived in a community where you didn't really notice people weren't like you. Very often, well, this little Jewish girl from New York got, y'all have the funniest accent I ever heard. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't have an accent. I sounded like a truck driver. I didn't win Miss Congeniality. And I learned a lot of lessons. I learned I was different, and lots of people in the South didn't like me for some reason. It had nothing to do with me.
So let me ask you this. So I want to ask you this because you're a good point, right? So it sounds at that point, we all lose our confidence at some point or another. And it sounds like, you had braces since you were 8 years old, and your mom said, well, we don't got no money. At that point, you're like, man, what am I going to do? Right. So what did you do would you say at the hardest point, say one of the times in your life, what did Forbes Riley do to regain her confidence? And what happened that you lost your confidence?
Well, first of all, the whole thing was fake it till you make it. Okay. I never had confidence. I was confident that I was smart. I could outwork you and get A's anywhere. But beyond that, I was completely not confident. And in fact, it's a very funny story that would happen to me. In the back of my mind, I wanted to be an actress. Now, I can't quite remember if I wanted to be because I wanted to disappear or I wanted to be a star. Yeah. But I auditioned for all the plays in high school. And you know what I got, Daniel? I got chorus, third town person from the left. I never got a character that had a name. My characters always sang in groups. And I kept looking at the two girls. I don't even know their names to this date. Here's a very funny thing about how obsessed I was. Ann Casapini and Renee Polina. I love you guys. They were the two beautiful, perfect stars. And they were the stars of every show. And I just would have given anything to have lived their life. And I kind of like, in my mind, would sit in the back of the theater dreaming I could be them. Well, fast forward 30 years later, thanks to social media, Renee teaches singing. She's a beautiful opera singer. And Ann teaches yoga. And I invited both of them out to dinner when I was in New York City. I'm the only one who's been on television my whole career. But it was exciting to meet the two girls that I wanted to be and go, I'll tell you what, the girl who wasn't going to become anything is actually kind of a star. And I don't want to rub it in your faces, but I just want to live this moment full circle. And it was amazing. And they were proud of me. And it's funny when you're an adult and you're not a kid anymore. But get this. Point of the story. One guy, one moment changed my life. Daniel, you and I met at one moment, and I know how we affected each other. For me, you let me push you. We met as a teacher coach, and I talked to you about your background and some of the things that you're saying. But you have a great spirit, and I learned a lot from you as well. There's a spunkiness and a tenacity and a heartfelt that you lead with that I've not seen in many men. And so there's an admiration here. So I get to college, and I'm going to be a lawyer because if you're smart and that's what you do. If you don't like blood, you're a lawyer. And that's the only two choices we really kind of had.
Yeah.
What kind of guidance counselor system did we have? No, Daniel, I didn't even know what a CEO was until in my late 20s. I didn't know what a company was. My dad was a blue collar worker. We grew up around fishermen. What do I know, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in college, and senior year, I'd always audition for the plays. So I'm going to audition for the senior play. This time it's Shakespeare's As You Like It. Huge female character. The character of Rosalind is on stage for 2.5 hours. She runs the whole show. She dresses up like a boy. She manipulates people. And a lot of words Shakespearean, right? I audition. I go to the call board looking for my name at townsperson, and it's not there. And I'm like, oh man, really? I didn't even get the person from the left. All right. So then I go, so who gets the lead in this play? I get to the top, and there's my name.
Amen.
And I remember looking at it and thinking, somebody's made a mistake.
You know what? So let me ask you that, because right now we opened up. I love the topic. So many people have lost their confidence, but I want to ask you this because I think it's a good point where we're at right now is if someone is feeling like, you know what, I've been at the bottom rung, I've been the ugly duckling, I don't have what it takes. Tell them, what did Forbes Riley do to get to where you're at? Because you have a tenacity yourself, what I love about you. And right now, so many people in our country have lost their confidence and they feel that their name doesn't belong. Hey, somebody made a mistake. And speak to that person who feels that they don't deserve that top row and tell them, you know what, talk to that person right now, because so many people have lost hope, right? I truly believe, Forbes, after this is over, there's going to be a hangover over our country of hopelessness and defeat, because unfortunately we're being told to wear a mask and we're being told what to do, and we're feeling hopeless because a lot of us, we lost our jobs, right? Let's be real. And speak to that person right now, because I love that you have that fight in you, and I know your story. I love, if you ever get a chance to go to St. Petersburg, Florida and see Forbes Studio, it's amazing. If you have a chance to go attend one of her classes, go do it, because it's going to change your life. Because you see her now. I know Forbes Riley. I know the story behind her. And it inspired me to say, what the heck can I not do? And look, I still got my plaque here. I think about you every day. I grant you permission, Daniel Gomez, to play big. So talk to that person right now, Forbes, please.
So here's what happened. I went to the director and I said to him, why me? Why now? And he sat me down and he started to tell me all these things that he saw in me. He says, you've got this quality and that quality, qualities that only I thought I had, but I didn't realize anyone else ever saw. And the crazy thing about Professor David Richmond, the director of this play, is he was 100% legally blind. So Daniel, he never saw all the things that kept me from my greatness. It was always inside of me. And because of that one man's belief in me, I called my parents and said, I'm not going to be a lawyer. I'm going to go off and be an actress. Now, that was talking about jumping off a cliff. I actually talk about leap and the net will appear. What Daniel's holding is a card that I gifted him. So I get to be that one person who believed not only in him, but also trained him to believe in him. That card says, I hereby grant you, and it says permission to, and then you fill in the blank. Because here's what you're missing. If you lost your job and you're devastated, two different things. Because let me share something with you. I don't have a job. Daniel, I just turned 60. I've never had a job. Never. From the time I was a kid, never had a job. Always made money. And this is where you, if you're listening to me right now, have been taught wrong. Most of the kids in my school, remember I said it was a doctor or a lawyer? Well, that's if you were smart. If you weren't smart, they told you to go work for somebody else. My daughter is now 17 years old. She has a major company. Wait to hear about this. But she and I had to go into her teacher's guidance counselor's office, two teachers. We sat down because they were upset with my daughter because they were learning how to make resumes. And she said, I don't need a resume. I'm never going to get a job. I said, well, but you need to. And she said, Mom, tell them, help me. I'm not going to get a job. And they're like, little girl, you don't understand that when you graduate, what you have to do, what are you going to marry somebody? And she looked at them and said, I already make more money than all of you guys combined. I make $5,000 a month building funnels. Why am I having this conversation? And they didn't know what to do with that. Okay. Yes. Here's the new world. And I will tell you that I am one of the leaders in this, as my daughter is. She's going to teach on Thursday night how you can make money. She was called out on stage in front of 9,000 people, being one of the leaders in the industry of what she does at 17. Okay? So number one, stop believing the man. Okay? The internet is a way to make money. First of all, if I said to you, Daniel, today, and I challenge people all the time, I want you to go make $100 right now. What would you go do?
I'd go buy some stock and sell it myself for $100.
You could do that in one day.
I could do that. And actually, before we got on, I made 500 and I lost 200. So yeah, I can.
So you got the day trading thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. So do you need a job to do that?
No, you don't need a job to do that.
But you just need to make money for your family.
Yes.
Yeah. Now it's not foolproof. I would love to do that. I don't really understand it well enough, so I wouldn't do that. But if I needed money right now, given the COVID thing, but I used to be a massage therapist, I would stay. Anybody want a massage? I could do it for $25, $35, doesn't matter what it is. In fact, lesson about massage. When I graduated massage school, I just was brand new. So I was giving $30 massages. Well, I'm really good. I love the body and I love what I do. And my girlfriend said, hey, look, I got a friend of mine in Beverly Hills here. How much you charge? I said, $35. And she said, I can't hire you. I'm like, oh, is that too much? She said, no, it's not enough. In Beverly Hills, if we don't hire somebody for $150 an hour, they can't be worth it. So start to listen to me. You guys, one, undersell yourselves all the time. And number two, think that you have to have a job. Yeah. I've been making money the entire time the COVID things happened, not the way I used to. I pivoted. I started teaching online what I know to do. Daniel, I took a $19 class that I created kind of in my head from stuff I've learned. Yeah. We made $25,000 in a week. I had never done that before because nobody held my feet to the fire.
Yes.
Yeah, you can coach, you can counsel, you can be an ear for somebody. You have no skills. Hey, you know what, guys? I'm going to go on Fiverr and I'm just going to be a sound, even if you don't even know what Fiverr is. There's so many unique ways. Joshua, yesterday, he's a 3D graphic artist. He just, a friend of mine said, hey, I need a logo. Great. He was going to charge X for it. The guy wanted to pay him 5 times X for the same work. Yeah. You sitting there right now don't realize how valuable you are. Haven't sat back and go, wow, given the way the world is, what do I have to offer? And the truth is you have lots of ideas.
Well, let me ask you this. We all have a gift. And what I realize is that most of us, that gift, we're scared of that gift. We're scared of it. We don't embrace it. And a lot of times we're embarrassed of that gift. Why do you think that is? And for me, I remember just growing up and people would tell me, Daniel, you talk a lot. Well, that's my personality. I'm an expressive personality. But that's what got me great in sales. And that's kind of what led me to who I am today. Like I'm mentoring this one of my clients. He wants to be a speaker. He's moving up. And he's like, well, yeah, I want to have a conference like you and do this. And I'm like, great. I'm like, well, if you can't sell a ticket to one of my conferences, how do you think you're going to sell tickets to yours? And he didn't think about that because they see that. I'm like, well, you got to learn. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You can do it. You're a speaker, right? Go out there and speak. Hey, this is what you need to do to sell one. I'm telling you, just sell one ticket.
Right.
But it appalls me how many people don't embrace the gift they have. Why do you think that is? Because that's kind of what we're talking about. They undervalue who they are. They have maybe a lower self-worth than who they really have that hidden treasure inside of them. Why do you think most people are in that way, Forbes?
Because they allow themselves to be put down because people are very, very judgmental and you have to develop a thick skin. People will tell you what you can and cannot do. Your job is not to listen.
I love that.
I am now teaching a $19 class on Sundays about how to pitch. You know why? I figured out what one of my geniuses is. You know, you and I have talked about this several times. Congratulations if you're a good salesman. I freaking hate sales, but I do like to make money. So I had to switch it a little bit. And I call it the pitch. I teach people that, by the way, most people go, oh, don't pitch me. Well, that's because that's a nasty word. My definition of pitch, and you can define all your own words, is to excite, engage, and enroll. I don't need to sell you anything. I got to excite you about it. You get engaged and then you enroll and you do it. And so you go back to that speaker guy who wants to be a speaker, and you're right. You can actually make money what's called an affiliate. If you like one of my programs, you like one of your programs, there's even a program online where you can go and get anybody's program and you can sell that. So number one, get it out of your head that you have to write the book or it has to be your idea. It doesn't. The funny thing about the internet right now is that if I invite you to my favorite restaurant, I had a great meal and I say, Daniel, go bring your friends, go to that restaurant. It's awesome. You go, you spend $1,000 with all of your friends. Does that restaurant send me a free dinner or a thank you note? They don't.
Nope.
See a movie, invite your friend, go, that was a killer movie. You should go see that. They all go. Does Paramount send you money? They don't. But on the internet, they do. I met a kid many years ago and he was making $12 for every email name that he got. Now, the catch was that you had to sign up because you wanted a free diabetic meter. The company that owned the meters also sells all diabetic products. So every name that they got, they would know they have a new client. They would pay him $12 a lead. The kid was making $1,200 a day getting email. So you're not missing a job. You're missing ingenuity. You miss hanging out with people like Forbes Riley and Daniel Gomez who think out of the box. Yeah. And you got to stop the traditional thinking. By the way, on a lot of things.
Yeah. And I agree with you on that because something that I teach is why most entrepreneurs fail is they never leave that employee mindset. They think like an employee. Like you said, they're used to being told what to do. And the moment they get freedom, they think being at Starbucks on your laptop all day is working when it's not. It's like, hey, you have the freedom. You got to start thinking like a successful businessman or a successful businesswoman. And one thing that I learned from you just in being in your presence is just like, right, like, don't be scared. You don't have anything to lose. And I love that because I really thought I was like, man, well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm playing kind of big in life. And I honestly think that encouragement that you gave me when all this happened with COVID, when I was here, I really felt like God was saying, hey man, you need to start your podcast. And I was like, well, who's going to listen, right? Who's going to listen to Daniel Gomez talk and it's because it's different from speaking in person like we did and then speaking here on the mic. It's a totally different world, but I practiced. And then this came across my thing and says, Daniel, if you save one person's life with your podcast, you did your mission. And I took that to heart and I wrote it on my mirror after I came back from Florida. I never told you this, but I wrote it on my mirror, Daniel Gomez, I grant you permission to play big. And I put a big smile on there. And because of the inspiration that you gave me, Forbes, and the encouragement and belief to fly big, I started my podcast and became one of the top 200 in self-improvement. And I had no idea how to do it, but I just had Forbes Riley who told me, stop playing small. And I'll never forget, you did kind of raise your voice, but I needed that. And I took it to heart. And we all have that capability. And right now, I want you to get your pen and paper. And you got to be taking notes because Forbes is driving some value bombs right now. And Forbes has a lot of wisdom. She has an amazing studio. She knows what she's doing. She's spoken at the TEDx conference with Grant Cardone. She sold over 2 billion stuff on just some products. She's amazing. So right now is the time to really take your pen to paper because when you write it down, you retain the information more. Forbes, why do you think some of us start and then once we get going, we have a little bit of success, but then we can never sustain that consistency? Because I believe the true definition of being successful, you have to be consistent in what you're doing. And you're consistent in not giving up. I see that in you. I love that fire in you. So talk to that person right now who is having a problem being consistent in business or in life.
Guys, if you turn on your computer and there's a little bit of code that's miswritten, computer doesn't work, does it? Got a glitch in it. And there's a whole bunch of wires in your bag and you can't find the right one to plug into the right hole. The whole system doesn't work. I'm going to share with us that we have been miswired from the beginning. You were taught an employee mindset in first grade when you're told to sit there and you got 8 classes at this many time and don't move and don't pass things. I remember I called into the office one day. I've got twins. And my kid's second grade teacher, man, she used to turn the lights out all the time. These kids are just unruly. And I'm thinking, baby girl, my son's 8 years old. What do you want him to sit there for 40 minutes? Have you met why would they do that? Little boys don't like to do that. And by the way, we've been doing the same teaching since it was the 1800s. Maybe they do need to run around. Maybe he learns more by playing. Maybe math should be blocks. Stop trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. So what we seem to want to be doing is conditioning us. Go watch The Matrix and realize how much we need to condition people to sit in a cubicle and just do this for 8 hours and then go to lunch and then come back and then go to gym. And this is how we train our people. So I'm not surprised that that's how you're functioning. I got a little card here. You want to go to my store and get one. It says I grant my permission to go tell my first grade teacher to take a flag and hike. The system doesn't work. So you actually have to break out of what you've been conditioned to. If you were a great student in school, odds are you work for somebody else. Odds are you can tell me the rules. I don't want to hear the rules. I don't believe in the rules. Entrepreneurs have to make their own rules. You have to get up in the morning and decide, wow, what's my to-do list? I don't have a boss telling me I could do nothing or do something. And then when the going gets tough, if you don't have a coach, nobody wants to work hard. By the way, being an entrepreneur is not easy. Winning a race not easy. You think being an Olympic gold medalist is easy. We all look at the goal. Wow, none of us had it easy. There's only one privilege in this life that I can see, and that's having a lot of money, so none of it matters. Short of that, we don't care if you're a man, woman, short, tall, black, white, green. There's no privilege. Nobody gave me anything. I wake up every day, and I created a mindset for myself, and some days I don't feel like doing it. But I don't, there's nobody yelling at me. If I don't make money this month, it's my own fault. But that's, for people, that's really scary. One of my girls in a coaching call last night, I teach a thing called OPP, how to leverage other people's platforms for free, how to get your message out. Most people don't know they have a message. Here's who has messages. Last night on my training, get this. And it was kind of sad because one of these girls came to a realization. She had been raped repeatedly by her brother from 4th grade to 6th grade. Her mom did nothing about it. And she's told us the story, and you can hear her in her heart. She's like, but I don't want that to be my platform. And I'm like, I'm really sorry for that, but it is if you want to be a speaker. You have to reference that and come out with a life lesson. Donna is a widow who found love. That's her platform. I'm a woman who raised a kid from South Central, and that's part of my platform. You don't have to speak. You don't have to be different. But if really something bad happened to you, my best advice to you right now is to learn from it. My friend Denise Crank just lost her husband. I had her get on every day and do a Facebook Live. First day, she's like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, most of the time, I just start crying. Within 3 weeks, she has an audience of over 1,500 women who've all lost their husbands, who love her, she's beautiful, and who want to key in every day just to get her advice, ask questions, be it. So I might tell you one more time, now is your time. Whatever happened to you in the past, if you lost your job, talk about why you did the job in the first place, what you're looking to do next. My daughter's writing a book and she's 17. My thought to you right now, if you're listening to this, number one, if you like Daniel Gomez, you're on a path to learn that there is more. He has people like me and a lot of other influential friends who are going to come on and tell you that you've been listening to the voices around you, and they're all bitching, moaning. She lost her job. He lost his. The economy sucks. In my world, that's not what we talk about. We focus on something else. Daniel's making money in the stock market. My daughter's learning how to trade options. I'm teaching clout. Are you talking to us? Are you hanging out with millionaires? I'm having fun, by the way, like watching all my favorite celebrities with no makeup, like watching the late night show from his house. I think if you're not sick, and by the way, I've been sick in the hospital and nobody cared about me. So if you're not sick at the moment and you're in your house and you're safe, enjoy this time. It's kind of weird. By the way, Daniel, we started out today with a little prayer. I'm going to tell you that somebody out there is responsible for everything that happened. Are you one of those people who prayed that you didn't have to go to work on Monday morning? All right, that was you. That's why we're doing this. That other person, you prayed that you wanted to spend more time with your kids. Ha! You got what you wished for. Now you're doing the homeschooling. So think about the prayers you've asked for. What is it that you want? And it always comes back to that for me, and I make people do that exercise. What do you want?
I love that. Something that what Forbes is saying, audience, is that in your pain, there's purpose. And the moment you take that pain and you turn it into purpose, and when you were talking about that, Forbes, it made me think about my own life, how, when we got that phone call that my wife was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and you're like, what the heck? And something that I've talked about before that my wife always said is, why not me, right? Her sister said, why you? Like, you're healthy and blah, blah, blah. But my wife said, why not me? And I take that to heart, because when my wife said that, it was 2.5 years of suck. It was hard. We cried, especially when you have drains coming out of you, going through the reconstruction part of it. But what you're saying is we took that pain, and it was pain, believe me. We cried, and there's still some thoughts that come up every once in a while because it's in that mind, right? But we took that pain, and because of that, we started a nonprofit to give back to women. We started a women's conference. And if it wasn't for that pain, we wouldn't have found that purpose that we're in. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what Forbes Riley is saying. If you put yourself aside, and it's hard not to be selfish, believe me, we've been there. We usually take that, we've been trained to take that why me mentality, that victim mentality. And if you put that aside, like my wife did, and she's the one that encouraged me, inspired me to become who I am today. That's what Forbes is saying right now. Take that pain and turn it into purpose, because you were born for greatness. You were born for success. And what Forbes Riley is saying is, now is the time. This is the place. This is your time to shine. But if you don't grasp it and you look at what's wrong instead of looking at what's right, you're going to miss the blessing that's in front of you, is what Forbes is saying.
Have you ever seen Joshua? Joshua is 3-time world champion physique model. At 6'2", he looks like Captain America wishes he looked. Absolute physical perfection. And always been an athlete and a rock star his whole life. January, he was getting ready to do the Arnold, probably his last competition, because he's turning 43 in a couple of weeks. January 2nd, he was going to see Star Wars on his motorcycle with his helmet and all of his gear on. And a guy comes out and crushes him, sends him to the ICU and surgery, destroyed his foot, the right side of his body. It's 6 months later, he is still in a wheelchair. And you just made me think about that with your wife, because it's been a really hard 6 months, mostly for him. Obviously for me as well. It changed our whole life. Everything was just great. I was in love with this phenomenal, beautiful looking man. And I think that life happens for you, not to you. So it's re-inspired Joshua, who is a graphic artist, 3D, is very talented, to sit in front of the computer a lot and reignite that flame. We are now 6 months later just beginning to walk. And does he get that back? Is that part of the journey? Is that part of the story to inspire other people? So what Daniel talks about is, and last night we saw one of his friends who was on a bicycle, He was also a massive physical specimen, and he's going to lose his eye, and his whole face is destroyed. He was in an accident like that. It just had nothing to do with COVID and nothing to do with the fighting, and he'll never be the same. And it's been a tough time because it's always, life is always evolving. And so, why not him? What do you get to learn from this? Do you learn that life is precious? At the very least, do you learn that life while you're here, to make the most of it, to stop complaining and bitching and think that you're right and someone else is wrong? Find what you're doing here. I truly believe that you are the sum of the obstacles you overcome. That's your past. What can you do to make it better for all of us while you're here? And I love that Daniel is doing a show like this. And you just really touched my heart with your wife's story. Because why not us,
Yeah. Yes. So let me ask you this. We're at the point where I love to ask my guests this, and you're pretty amazing. You're unique. And in our Facebook group, we just changed the name to Distinctive Syndicate because what we don't realize is we don't embrace that distinctiveness that we have. We all have a uniqueness. We all matter. And maybe you're listening to this podcast for the first time and no one's ever told you that you matter. Well, this is Daniel Gomez Inspires telling you that you matter. And Forbes, I want to ask you this. What makes Forbes Riley distinctive?
It's my name. And I wrote a book about my name. Actually, there's a book here, and this title is actually one of those things. It's what have you Forbesed lately? What makes me distinctive is I never fit in, so I never tried to. I don't care if you like me or don't like me. I mean, I did when I was little, but I was such an odd duck.
Boom! I gotta give you a boom for that one. I don't care if you like me, and I never will. I love that one. Boom! That's that. So many of us, we try to fit in. 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 And when you realize that the people you're trying to fit in with, half of them are not even happy. Half of them put fake posts on social media. Half of them ain't even real. Why would you want to fit in with people like that? Man. I just love that. Because sometimes you just got to say, you know what? I don't give a crap. I don't care. I don't fit in. I'm going to go start my own distinctive syndicate because if you're a misfit, you're going to fit in.
Leaders don't fit in anywhere. We always stick out. I will tell you. And it's a very comfortable space for me never to fit in, which is odd. I used to tell people that I was like the leader of the misfits. We're going to live in our own island. I love misfits. Because that is the joy of life. And when you embrace that and you realize that you can create anything. Daniel, this morning, I had a story come true based on my permission card in this. I'm going to share it with you. I decided a couple of days ago that I have a radio show, but I said, I want to meet the very, very best on the planet before I leave the planet. Now I'm talking anybody and everybody, from Michael Jordan to Oprah to, I don't know who else is on my list that's extraordinary. Elon, my daughter wants to meet Elon Musk. And a one-on-one intimate conversation. I said, I want to do that. And I created a name for it. I'm not going to tell you. And I just woke up. I then Instagrammed one of my heroes, okay? She does not know me from Adam. I follow her since I was a little kid. This morning on my phone, dear Ms. Riley, she would be happy to be part of this talk. Just tell us more about it. I'm like, Daniel, I haven't really created it all. I don't really know what I'm doing. What have you Forbes lately? I Forbes the person I want to talk to one-on-one.
Ooh, I love that.
How did I do it? I just do. So my thought to everybody listening, get out of your head. Stop listening to voices that are holding you back. And by the way, if you can't get out of your own way, I have a training called The Breakthrough. I will tell you, Daniel's been through this. Sometimes you can't let go of the past or their mom or their dad. We have a little system and a technique for 2 days. Bam, let's get rid of that shit. I don't believe in therapy. I believe in cutting the chain. You want to find anything about me, go to Forbes360.com. All my stuff is right there on your phone. You go, oh, I like all that stuff or not. You want to say, hi, I'm on social media. The next is find a mentor or a coach who's maybe paved the way before you. Daniel has access to people. I have access to people if we're not right for you. But stop thinking you have to do this alone, okay? Be brave enough to pick up the phone and go, I need some help. I couldn't do that for years. I just turned 60. Do not wait that fucking long. Do not wait. So my friends, don't wait. And I'm not kidding. If I could have told me the younger me, what are you waiting for? Because one day you're going to be 60. I'm never going to be 60. Well, guess what? Shoot, I am. And it's weird when you're here. Go have some fun. Go do something so outrageous that your palms sweat and people go, oh, what is he doing? He's starting a podcast. Who does he think he is? Go do something that makes you insanely happy. Find cheerleaders that embrace you. Daniel's got a group. There's 100 groups. Find the group. There's like really weird niche groups. Find the thing that excites you and go do it.
Yes, I love that. You know, what came to mind is this morning I was with a client and she called me out of the blue and she needed just an extra session. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So this morning I was on the phone with her. And it's amazing how it boils down to trust, Forbes. And I want to say this because I think this is what you led into for me. What I got was maybe you've been backstabbed, maybe you've been hurt. And what it is trust issues. And you're trying to do everything by yourself because you think that you can't trust anybody. Well, let me tell you, I allowed Forbes Riley to come into my heart and she helped me. I've allowed other people, Michael D. Butler, to come into my heart and they've helped me. And I've been hurt before in the car business. Believe me, there's a lot of people that, you get backstabbed. That very thing, you need to let it go and you need to start trusting again. And the moment you start trusting is the moment you're going to start moving forward, because what Forbes Riley is saying, she's right. Even Tiger Woods has a coach. Think about the UFC fighter that McGregor, he lost his confidence. He hired Tony Robbins. But even champions need coaches. And I myself have a coach. So forgive the past, let go, and start trusting again. And just the way my client had a hard time this morning, she was crying. But I just told her, I'm here to help you, not to hurt you. And when you realize that there really is still really good people like Forbes Riley out there and Daniel Gomez and other people that want to make a difference in people's lives, your life will change once you open your heart to that. So Forbes, give us a word of wisdom as we come to the near end of the show. Give us a word of wisdom or a quote that has carried you in the most challenging parts of your life. What's a quote or a saying? Talk to us about that as we leave, that you're going to just give us that wisdom right now, if you don't mind.
I have a quote written everywhere in my studio, and I believe in manifestation. I do because I've created it. And it goes, dream it, believe it, and achieve it. And what that means for me, and there's an architecture to this. When you dream something, sit with yourself or a coach and ask yourself what you want. And then realize how to architect a dream. So I was going to say, I have a little thing here called Grubhub. I ask people all the time, Daniel, what do they want? Woman last night, I want to travel and I want financial freedom. You know what financial freedom is? That's a cardboard box under the bridge with no cell phone bill and no electrical bill and no mortgage. That's financially free. Careful what you wish for, right? You wish to stay home on Mondays. You didn't know what was going to happen. But if you said, Forbes, I really want to make $10,000 a month through passive income because my goal is to travel to Europe with my children. Well, you can work backwards from that dream and say, wow, if you want to make 10,000, you might want to do this kind of company. You might want to put in these kind of hours and create this. Most people don't think to do that. So one, you have to learn the architecture of a dream and then dream bigger. People will say, oh, I just want to live a comfortable life. Then that's what you get. I dreamed to live in a mansion since I was a little kid. I've always dreamed to have a house with a pool. An in-ground pool was a big thing for me because my family couldn't afford it. We had one house in the entire town that had an in-ground pool. Look at my backyard. That means I'm successful. I've always had an in-ground pool since I could start buying homes. Have a really specific dream and make it weird, okay? When I was looking for a man in my life, I didn't say I just want somebody who's funny. Then you get Danny DeVito. I wanted someone that he's funny, but careful what you wish for, right? I said I wanted someone who looked like he walked off the cover of a romance novel. Well, look up Joshua Self and see if I didn't get what I looked for. And I didn't go to Tinder. I didn't go to a bar. He actually knocked on my hotel room door to be a fitness model for my fitness product. And by the way, we're not going to go into it now, but if you want to hear the journey of going through hell and out the other side, because I believed in a fitness product that nobody wanted, but I've sold 2 million of them so far. And I've got a guy with no arms who spin gyms. I've got people in hospital and wheelchairs who spin gym. This little dream, I love when people go, oh, you must have had it so easy. No, I didn't have it easy on the floor of the U.S. Customs when they wanted to throw out 44,000 of my units and destroy my company. You don't know what's below that iceberg thing, okay? So if you've got a really powerful dream and a real concrete what it is that you want, and then a real solid why are you doing it? I talk about my why. See, why do you do fitness? Oh, you just want to look good. No. My mom was 260 pounds my whole life. When I bought her a gym membership for a year, I got her to the door of the gym and she wouldn't go in. I'm like, come on, Mom, we're going in. She's like, I can't. I'm like, yes, you can. I just paid for a year. She broke down crying and said, I can't go in. They're all fitter in there. I don't know what to do. I'm feeling uncomfortable going home. And at that moment, my why, do I create handheld fitness products that people can do in their house so that nobody suffers inside of their fat like my mom did because she didn't roller skate or go to the beach or have fun with her kids. I wear the same size clothes I did in high school because I didn't want to be my mom and I wanted to help people like her. Can you feel my why? That why, and whatever it is that you want to do, if your why is not that deep rooted, you see trees everywhere. The trees aren't the trees. Those roots go really deep down. You think skyscrapers just stand there? They have foundations that are so solid that allow them to grow that tall. So now you're out. That's a lot to do for that word, dream it. Yes. Find a mentor or a coach because I don't think you can do that on your own. Create that dream. Then the word believe it means you talk about it. You get on shows like this and you talk about your dream, what you want to do, what you're up to, why you're doing it. And people go, wow, that's kind of cool. And then you architect steps to achieve it. So it sounds like dream it, believe it, and achieve it. But I am living it. A lot of my students are. I know you are. And if you are not living your optimum life, invest in yourself. Find your coach or mentor. Go on Facebook, get a group. But just know you are never alone. I don't care how weird you think you are or how alone you are. Do what I didn't do for so many years, because so many times I cried myself to sleep in a pillow. Before social media, you were alone. It's why I love doing it. It's why I have 1.7 million fans on my Facebook, because I really like helping and talking to people in the middle of the night. When I grew up, there was nothing. In fact, TV ended at 11 o'clock and it was like snow on the TV. Nowadays, you can reach out. And here's the last thing I'm going to say. Get out of your own way. If you can't figure it out, then stop figuring it out and go help some little kid. There's orphanages all over this country. There's kids on the street looking for hope, looking for a parent, looking for a mentor. Be someone else's mentor, because sometimes when you teach, it's what you need to learn most.
Amen.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Wow. Boom, man. Sheesh. I could go another hour with you. That was just, wow. That was some deep stuff there, Forbes.
Thank you.
If somebody wants to connect with Forbes Riley, I know you gave us a 360, but you want to kind of just show us where we can find you and connect with you? Can you share that with the audience?
Forbes360.com. I'm going to tell you, go to it on your phone. It has got the mastermind that I do on Wednesdays. It's got my free Facebook group called Inner Circle. It's got the courses I'm teaching, the books I'm doing. You want to find me on social media. My little Inner Circle group, Daniel, I have now been committed to being there every day. I have hundreds of people who are posting videos every day. I give them instructions on what to do, on how to think, on how to wake up in the morning. And I love going to that room. Those people there are safe. They're fun. You'll find, if you literally just have to reach out and say, hey, I want something, somebody will give it to you. I created a world that I wanted to live in. And then, the rest of social media is great. I'm having the time of my life because I'm a very weird little loner girl. I like staying home. I never like wondering what party I'm supposed to go to on a Friday or Saturday night. I do think, though, that I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused why if you go to Tampa without a mask, you get a $500 fine. But I watched Trump in a rally in Oklahoma with 5,000 people and nobody was wearing a mask. I'm tired of being lied to. I want to understand the truth. I want us to be safe and happy. And I want the world for a little while was kind of calm. I want the world to just take a break and just enjoy. You got to stop. There's so much anger right now that I can feel it in my own body.
Yeah.
I don't even like going to the grocery store. It's weird. So just about stay safe, find your purpose. And this is a great karmic shift in the universe.
Yes.
This is like watching a weird movie. Enjoy this. Don't be afraid of it. Because here's what you didn't live through. You didn't live through the Black Plague. You didn't wake. My son's like, Mom, I'm bored. Really? 17, son? Do you know 50 years ago, you would have been shipped off to Vietnam or World War II or World War I or God knows where. Go sit in your room and enjoy Netflix.
Wow. Well, this has been a great, great show. What an amazing time. And audience, if you're listening to this and you just love the great content, we love to invite you to our Facebook group, Distinctive Syndicate. Just look at it on Facebook, Distinctive Syndicate. Request to join, and we love to have you. We have a lot of great just influencers, people who love and care. And the main thing is you matter. And in our Distinctive Syndicate group, you're going to matter. That's a wrap for this week's show. We look forward to seeing everybody next week. And thank you for tuning in today. This is Daniel Gomez, and thank you so much for tuning into our show today. We'd love your feedback. Please drop us a comment, and thank you for leaving us a review. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and share this episode with a friend. And my free gift for listening to our show today is a copy of my best-selling book, You Were Born to Fly. To get your free copy, go to danielgomezinspires.com and get your copy today. That's danielgomezinspires.com. And to elevate your life and business even more, follow me on social media at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence.